Hi, I'm Ashley Morrison. We're down at Live Fitness with aerobic gymnast Sam Elkington and Kieran Gorman. Kieran, first of all, how did you get into aerobic gymnastics?
Yeah, I had selectors come to my school trying to look for new talent, and then from there I got into the gymnastics community where I started to get into it more seriously.
Sam, obviously you're a bit younger than him, and aerobics was really big in the 80s. How did you get into it?
Well, I started artistic gymnastics first through my mum, who was a coach. And when I finished up there, I just naturally moved into a different gym sport, and aerobics just seemed natural for me. It was just a really good choice.
Did you believe it could be as competitive as it is when you started out?
No, I did not realise it was this competitive. I really just joined it for fun. Just didn't want to have to leave gym altogether. But
Now, a lot of people won't know that Kieran is the current world champion. Kieran, I mean, does anyone in Perth know that as you walk down the street, or is it still pretty sad that you're top of the world and no one knows who you are?
Yeah, I think now it's starting to get maybe more recognised, more out there, but it's still, aerobic gymnastics is not as big as, artistic gymnastics or sports like football or golf or things like that.
We know it's been a tough journey for you to get to the top of the world. I mean, can you give people an idea as to how difficult it is because you haven't had sponsorship?
Yes, I mean, for my last 10 years competing kind of internationally, I've had to fork out maybe $20,000 each year for myself to try to get to these trips, to try to get my status ranking up. And it's only just recently Macaroni Ford have sponsored me, and I'm starting to get more funding now from Gymnastics Australia themselves.
Sam, does he inspire you even though he's got to the top without that support?
definitely seeing him at training, when I was younger, I used to look up and see him, and knowing that he didn't have any support, and that he just really pushed purely for the love of the sport is inspiring.
Again, there's a lot of travel involved. Have you travelled together?
We have, since 2006 we've been travelling together.
Sam was of course in the youth, under 18s, and I started getting into the senior ranks from 2005, so yeah, I've always been the senior rank, and this is her first time now going away where she's senior.
And is there a great sort of camaraderie where you help each other as you travel?
Of course. With aerobics, that's the great thing about it. It's not like artistic gymnastics where it's, everyone's sitting in the audience very quiet. Aerobics very uplifting, everyone's clapping, everyone wants everyone to do well, and they're excited to see the routines.
Now, I know Kieran choreographs his own routines. Do you choreograph your own?
I do it with my coach, Trudy. We both do it together, it's, a bit of a balance between us. I am still young, so I am still learning everything, but, I think I put my own flavour into the routine. So.
And I presume that, again, there are certain moves you have to get into every routine?
Yeah, with aerobic gymnastics, you've got power, dynamic, static, and flexibility, which you've all got to incorporate into your routine. And the best thing about aerobics is you still got to do everything with a smile on your face. Yeah.
And how much training goes into putting on, how long is each sort of segment you do, and how much training goes into, say, a 2-minute routine?
Well, we train, 2.5, 3 hours a day, sometimes more, depending, especially leading up to competitions. I've been training more. But yeah, it's very hard, and we just keep doing routines for cardiovascular reasons and things like that.
Sam, obviously we said he's top of the world. Is that your goal, to get to the very top?
Definitely, that's definitely my goal. Right now, my goal, short term, would be hopefully top 8. Right now, that would be a good goal for me.
So is it a 3-year plan or a 5-year plan, or?
Well, next year is our big world championships, so hopefully middle of next year will be my goal to be number 1.
Now, we were talking before we sat down here about the fact that aerobic gymnastics isn't in the Olympics, it's not in the Commonwealth Games. How frustrating is that for both of you?
Very.
We get a lot of, you're not an Olympic sport yet,
And that's why the funding is so limited, because we're not an Olympic sport and we're not recognised. So me obviously getting the world ranking number 1 last year, it helped a lot, not just me individually, but the sport, and people like Lauren Mitchell, who did well in artistic gymnastics. She also would help the whole gymnastic community as well, so we're really trying to push and push and push.
Do you regret going into aerobic gymnastics? Because if you just stayed with artistic,
No, I love this sport. I think it's perfect for me. I love the strength in it, the dynamics. I think I'm much more suited to this sport, even though I would like us to be in the Olympics. I guess it's just
Way to
wait
go.
and see.
And just finally, how many young kids are getting involved in the sport now? Is it still quite a good sort of numbers of participation?
Yeah, I think the numbers are starting to grow again. I mean, I think our biggest ones for the little kids is to push the schools. You know, try to get the schools involved, and from there you'll start seeing the talent. And you know, there'll be kids that find they're not suited for artistic gymnastics, and they'll come through to aerobics.
I suppose the $1 million question, Kieran, is are you going to be able to hold on to that world number one this year?
I think so. Yeah, I think my routine this year is probably the best routine I've ever had. So it'll be really interesting going into this next cycle to see what the judges think.
And just give us an idea, because you've got a lot of travelling coming up.
Yeah, we've got France next week, and we've got Japan in April, then we've travelled to Bulgaria in May, and finally USA in July.
And the main competition for the men's, I'm presuming, would be the Europeans and the Americans, or is it the same for the girls? Or?
It's what is it? China,
Yeah, Chinese
and the Europeans, French, Romania, things like that. Which it kind of does still lead on to the same thing as what artistic gymnastics would probably have, but we have the dancing ability in our thing, so it's easier for other countries to kind of be on top as well.
Well, guys, we thank you for your time, and we wish you both all the very best.
Thank you.